Hello YouTube, this is Ron from rontheadmin.com, and I'm bringing you a follow-up to my Pi-hole video. I've been running Pi-hole on and off for the past 3 weeks, and I'm very impressed with the way the service runs. I'm logged into my dashboard, as you can see, and at this time there are a total of 19 clients currently connected, and I've blocked about 19.6% of DNS queries for domains that are on the blacklist. The dashboard gives you a wealth of information that you could see at a glance of how your Raspberry Pi hole is doing, including the queries over the past 24 hours, clients over time, query types, queries answered by, the top permitted and top blocked domains, and the top clients and top clients that are blocked only. Now, if I go back to the top of the dashboard, one thing I like about the graphs is that you could hover over any particular part and get additional information as needed. So in the clients over time graph, I could drill down to see which client by their IP address is basically connected and about how many queries that they are doing at any particular time just by hovering over and scrolling through the actual timeline. Now, you could do the same thing with the queries over the past 24 hours, which tells you how many upstream DNS queries have been made, as well as how many of those queries have been blocked. This is really good so that you can see how much of your Pi hole is blocking as far as your DNS service queries are concerned. Now, the query types and query answered by, that's just giving you information about what type of DNS records are being queried through your Pi-hole's DNS resolver, as well as which type of queries are being blocked that are being cached, as well as which DNS server is actually answering the queries that are being forwarded through the Pi-hole. In my case, a good percentage of my queries are being answered by my local DNS server, which is 192.168.1.9, as well as a good chunk of that being cached out. So I'm actually saving bandwidth by utilizing the Pi-hole because it's going to cache the most responses so that when you try to connect to a site that you've been before, it's automatically going to know the IP address and forward that through. So it's acting like a caching proxy. Now, if you are trying to find out which devices are going through the Pi-hole and which domains they're connecting to, the top permitted and top blocked domains will actually tell you in a at a glance view of what domains are being counted against. So in my case, my top permitted domain is my gateway router because that's where all the traffic's going to forward through, and it looks like I'm blocking a lot of queries going to analytics.localytics.com based off of the graphs here. Now, going further down, we have the top clients total and top clients blocked only. These are showing you which clients are physically connecting to the network and their IP address and the frequency that they're sending responses through. In this case, my top talker for DNS traffic is 192.168.1.50, and the top client that's being blocked the most is 192.168.1.56, with the highest request being blocked. Now, this is good, so if you know that what devices are having the most response to, you could see who uses that device and make adjustments as necessary as to see whether or not they are using it for legitimate purposes, or if there's something else running on that computer that's trying to go out. So you could use this in conjunction with your malware or antivirus software just to see whether or not there's any issues going on with those computers. Now, you could drill down further and you could actually check the logs by clicking on the Query Logs device under the main navigation window, and this will give you a good list of the devices, domains that are being queried through the Pi-hole at this particular time. It shows the last looks like the last 10 entries, but you could actually make that go down to probably about 100 or every entry. So if you want to utilize the screen, you could type in an IP address such as 192.168.1.63. It will show you all of the responses for that particular IP address and whether or not the response has been forwarded over or has been blocked. So we could try 69, which doesn't show anything, or 65, which looks like it's a Roku, and it's forwarding over to the logs at Roku's domain. Now, you could check long-term data by going into the long-term data menu and checking your top list. And these menus take a little bit of time to go through, but once you do that, you can see the wealth of information that is contained within it. So in this particular case, we could select a date and time range by clicking on the line and say choose a predefined option like today, yesterday, the last week, month, the last 30 days, the last year, or of all time. So in this case, it will give you the same information that's on the dashboard, but in a single page as opposed to having everything else. Your query logs shows you queries within a particular time against the block database. So in this case, I'm going to do all time again, and we're going to wait for that to populate. As that goes through, it's got to go through the log file, so it does take a little bit of time to populate as the message indicates. And there we go. Now if we look here, we could see the domains that are trying to be reached, the client that made the request, and whether or not it was forwarded or blacklisted. So looking at this example, API global.netflix.com was forwarded by the request on 192.168.1.61, and if you wanted to, if that was something that you wanted to blacklist, you can just click the blacklist button and it would automatically add it to the block list. If you wanted to, you could unblacklist it and make it in the whitelist, so any other time those responses are made, it automatically gets forwarded along instead of being stopped. Now, the best part about this software is that you can blacklist domains just by typing in the domain name or regular expression, so that you could block users from accessing a particular resource based off the domain name itself. In this case, I don't have any set up, but it's pretty simple. Just type in the domain and click add, exact, add wildcard, or add regex. In this case, I'm not using that since there's nothing I want to block. However, you may get false positives, and you may want to whitelist certain domains. So in this case, I have a lot of domains being whitelisted so that I could use services such as eBates or honey.com or other coupon sites. That way those are being utilized, but I could still block the malicious sites that are ad based itself. So going to the list, we have like bing.com, certain CDNs that are going to be allowed because those are utilized by other programs throughout the connection. So this particular list that I have, I got through a GitHub repository that does a whole bunch of whitelisting, and basically it compiles the list for you, and you just drop it into the unit by running a simple update command. I'll have the link to that in the description below. Now, that's pretty much it that I have for the Pi-hole. Overall, I'm enjoying this piece of hardware that I've installed on the network. I have noticed that it has improved my response time as far as connectivity to the internet is concerned, because it is caching a good chunk of the frequently use DNS queries, so that does help save your time and bandwidth on the network, as well as it makes your internet connectivity run a lot better because you have no ads on the web pages blocked at a domain level. Now, mind you, this solution is far from perfect. There are some items that will still go through the cracks, but that's because those sites are utilizing those ads being pushed through their own domain as opposed to using a third-party advertising system like Google AdWords or Bing Ads or whatever third-party sites they want to utilize. If they're being served on that particular domain that's allowed, those ads will still go through. So couple this with an ad blocker like AdBlock Plus or uBlock, you could get a really good experience without having your internet experience ruined by sites with tons of ads. Now, with that said, a lot of sites do use ads as a way of keeping content being produced as well as to support the site. So if you do use this, beware that you may not be fully supporting that particular site, but if you support something that you like, either donate to them or purchase their merchandise to make sure that those sites are able to bring the product that you're looking for. But outside of that, that's all that I have today. I'd like to thank you for watching. If you liked this video, click the subscribe button and thumbs up. If you dislike the video, hit that thumbs down. We are going to have more videos coming down in the future. We're just working out the workflow for our videos. So I'd like to thank you for watching and have a great day.